Hello, brothers and sisters. For those of you who have not watched my videos on deciphering the first chronological layer of the iPad God, I recommend to view them, and this video will be more understandable to you. Now I want to show you the decryption of the next layer, which combines the chronological and event layer. The method of decoding remains the same, astronomical. And if earlier I had the opportunity to set only a short period of time when the apocalypse will begin, the end of October and the beginning of November 2022. Now, after a new discovery, I am able to identify the exact start date of destruction. Each iPad God scene is a representation of parts of the starry sky and the movement of celestial bodies along it. So we are shown a specific date for a short period of time. Moreover, one scene shows several dates at once, since the Sun and Moon move in a circle of the same constellations, cyclically. Plus, in addition to the date, an event from the future is depicted. The encryption method used by the creators of the iPad God. I would call the method of visual analogy. So here is the scene that, as I showed you earlier, depicts the year 2017. The solar eclipse of August 21st next to the star Regulus. The star and solar eclipse, as well as the birth of Jupiter in the constellation of Virgo on September 23rd. In the next layer, this scene shows the 2022 year, the solar eclipse in Virgo on October 25, 2022, with the maximum approach of Venus to the Sun at this moment for our observation point, and the birth of Mercury by Virgo. Behind the 22nd year, we see a rabbit. This is the next 23rd year, the year of the rabbit according to the Chinese calendar. The first layer of this scene showed Jupiter moving into the constellation of Sagittarius on November 24th, 2019. Let me remind you. But in another layer, we are referred to Hawaii, its split and explosion due to a volcano. And it is no accident that we are shown Obama at the same moment, because he was born in Hawaii. If in the first layer of this scene they showed us the conjunction of Uranus and the Sun on April 2020 on the palm of the whale, Then in the next layer we see a solar eclipse in Virgo on October 25th, 2022, as well as her son Mercury, born at this moment, and the explosion of a volcano in Hawaii. On the iPad God's soundtrack, we hear a sound like this.
Shame on, shame on, shame on you, shame on you.
This is the sound of sonar. For those who don't know, this is a means of sound detection of underwater objects using acoustic wave. I will play the sound from iPad God 2 again, and the sound of sonar of military submarine.
Shame on, shame on, shame on you.
Please note that the missiles are standing vertically, just like in the launch shafts of submarines. Also, do you remember those black wings? Now you know what they mean. So we have every reason to believe that in this scene we are shown a submarine that rams and just demolishes the island of Hawaii. I have already shown you that this is the island of Hawaii. I don't know exactly for what reason Hawaii will explode, natural or artificial, but I know for sure that it will happen, and when it will happen. And this scene makes it possible to assume that the explosion of the Hawaiian volcano will be initiated by the impact of a torpedo or rocket into the underwater base of the island, which is only the surface tip of a giant volcano. As I showed you earlier, this scene depicts San Francisco after the tsunami caused by the explosion of Hawaii. The whole sky is covered with smoke and ash. They will hang in the sky for a long time, which will lead to a sharp decrease in temperature. That's why we see everything in ice and snow, and even the tsunami is depicted frozen. Pay attention to this bright spot in the sky. This is a flash from the explosion of Comet Leonard, due its collision with an asteroid in the Jupiter-Trojan asteroid cluster around October 25th, 2022. I told you about this in my other video. The comet explosion will be before the Hawaiian explosion. The flare will be as strong as when a supernova explodes and will be visible in the sky for many weeks. Here we see how the light from the explosion makes its way even through clouds of smoke, dust and ash. Why are we shown the number 23 here? Because it is the common 23rd year. When tsunami hit the whole of California, exactly in this form, San Francisco will enter the new 23rd year. the USA will lose the whole state of Hawaii by that time, which is symbolized by the torn piece of the flag with one star. Previously, there was such a constellation as the ship Argo or Argo Navis. Today it is divided into the three modern constellations: Carina, the keel, Papis, the poop deck, and Vela, the sails. This constellation is also shown in the iPad God. Here is a look. Ahead of Argo is the constellation of the Great Dog. So we have a dog on the bow of the boat. Do you remember anything? Here it is. This is, as you know, Anubis, the god of death, who was often depicted as a jackal. Remember that scene where the fish jumps into the boat out of the water? This is a reference to the constellation of the flying fish, Volans. But neither the moon nor the sun pass through the constellation Argo, so why mention it? Because this is a reference to the movement of another celestial body in the starry sky, which brings with it death. In literary terms, its swimming in the sky boat is shown. We are talking about Comet Leonard, its explosion from a collision and the fall of its part or a meteorite into the Atlantic Ocean, which I have already shown you before. The next scene, if in the first layer it showed the time interval from October to December 2020, then in this layer we are shown the solar eclipse in Virgo, October 25th, 2022. During the eclipse, there will be the maximum approach of Venus to the Sun for our observation point. And also this moment with the flag. The fact is that during the solar eclipse in Virgo, the Sun and Moon will move from the constellation of Virgo to the constellation of Libra. Here is Virgo, here is flag. The constellation of Libra looks like the flag. In the event layer, this scene of course shows how South Korea, after the destruction of Hawaii and the tsunami in the United States, will lose its protection from the United States, and North Korea will take advantage of the moment and enter the troops. And now a very important point. Do you remember how this bony hand with a shiny ring reaches out to the girl with the flag. They just show us this part of the starry sky. The bony hand is a part of the constellation of Scorpio, which stretches to the constellation of Libra and Virgo. Of course, you will ask, but what about the ring? What is it? This is Comet Leonard, which will be exactly in this place by the 25th of October 2022, when there will be a solar eclipse in Virgo. Moreover, appreciate the fact that on the Russian website that I have been using all this time in my research, and which showed the exact movement of Comet Leonard along the constellations, now this moment does not display. It's good that I displayed this information early and can show you a screenshot from another video on decoding the first chronological layer. Also, I remind you the shocking fact that Comet Leonard was discovered only at the beginning of the 2021 year. And then we are shown the explosion of a comet in the sky. Please note that the ring on the finger is no longer there, and a whistle is being fired in our direction, which shows that a fragment of a comet or a meteorite will fly towards the Earth. Also, we are clearly see the reference to the 1st of November 2022, the Day of the Dead. And if earlier I could only point you to the period of time when the comet and Hawaii will explode, the end of October and the beginning of November 2022. Now I can accurately name the date when the worst things will begin. This is 1st of November, Day of the Dead. That's all, brothers and sisters. It took me 5 years to discover this date. All glory to Jesus. God bless you all.